Dear friends, good evening everybody. Today we're going to talk about a very different topic. We're going to question the Buddha actually. Now I have named the topic to be seven practices when choosing a spiritual teacher from a sutra called Vīmaṃsaka. Right? So although I put the name to be very general, I'm not going to hurt any spiritual teacher. I'm going to talk about the context of the Buddha, right? But all in all, we could put the topic name to be seven practices to be considered when choosing a spiritual teacher. So this sutra is the 47th sutra in the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length sayings of the Buddha. Actually, these were classified at a later time after the Buddha. Anyway, so it's about the free inquiry about the Buddha. So Buddha asks us to inquire about him before trying to place confidence in him, like Saddha. In Sinhala we call Saddha. So anybody of you who already are confident, actually you are confident about the Buddha, you have no problem with the Buddha. But have you ever considered these 7 steps before you place in confidence in the Buddha? So that's the question. So we're going to actually find it out, what those 7 techniques are. Before that, someone may puzzle at a point that why we going to question the Buddha. So someone might wonder, this would be something that could take you to a place you would decide the Buddha in your own understanding. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to validate what we know with the teachings of the Buddha so far, right? Anyway, we'll take a look of the rubric of the sutra, the main statement. Vīmaṃsakena bhikkhave bhikkhuna parassa ceto pariyāyaṃ ajānantena tathāgate samannesana kātabba samma sambuddho no va iti viññānayati. So I would actually read the Pali statement, Pali paragraph, so that you know that they are authentic. Then I'm not talking about things in other languages. So anyway, so Buddha was living in the Jetavana temple, Jetanarama. So he was giving a statement to the monks, bhikkhus, monks, who is an inquirer, not knowing how to gauge another's mind. It's like not knowing how to read others' mind actually, should make an investigation of the Tathagata or the Buddha in order to find out whether or not he is fully enlightened. I would rephrase it with awakening, right? So if anybody of us is not a person who can read others' mind, of course we are not able to read others' mind. I mean, especially this thing. Some people can read others' mind from different contexts, but this is something we call paracitta vijnana or ceto pariyaya in the Pali context. That means such a person can read anything of you. If you think anything, that person can know, okay, you thought about that thing. So you really kind of surprised, or probably you may be scared of such people if you're going to stay with them, if you know such people. Anyway, so if you are not a mind reader, then others' mind, then including all of us, I guess, so we all need to follow these 7 techniques to validate his state of enlightenment. So that's what we're going to talk about. So you may perhaps use these 7 practices or techniques to validate or understand or choose another spiritual teacher as well, according to as you wish. Okay, so what are the 7 techniques? The first technique, I would read the Pali first. Ye sankilitta chakkusota vinyeya dhamma samvijjanti vati tathagatassa novati. So Buddha says, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu who is an inquirer, not knowing how to gauge another's mind. Now, don't think that this is only for a monk, because Buddha always, gave his Dhamma talks to the people who were around him, so the monks, of course, should investigate the Buddha or Tathagata with respect to two kinds of states. Two kinds of states. States cognizable through the eye and through the ear. Thus, so there are two states that we're going to use to inquire, to validate the Buddha. Those are two channels, through the ears or through the eyes. Okay, what's the first way of questioning, choosing this practice? Are there found in the Tathagata Buddha or not any defiled states cognizable through the eye or through the ear? Okay. Now, what we should do before questioning this, we have to read the sutras, we have to understand the life of the Buddha. We have to read, because Buddha is not with us anymore, like as a living person. So we can hear from his own teachings, from his own words, but rather we can read, we can see sometimes some of the works, right? So we, after reading, after understanding his life to some extent, then you can pose this question, you can go ahead with this technique. So the first technique is, you're going to question him, you're going to question probably your understanding about the Buddha. Are they found in the Tathagata Buddha, the same person, not any defiled states? So what are the defiled states that we know of anybody? Raga, dosa, moha, or lobha, dosa, moha. So greed, hatred, delusion. Are they really, obstructive for us in our life? Yes, they are really obstructing us. They are really deviating our lives into unnecessary troubles, right? Anyway, so you're going to question the Buddha whether you see in him any of those defilements, okay? Through the ears, through the eyes. That means from the books, probably your knowledge, probably your understanding, maybe from a talk from another monk, right? Whatever the way that you're going to question, right? So that's the first technique. We're going to go to the second technique. And the second technique is, now what happens to a good person in questioning like that is, then he or she understands, when he or she investigates him, the Buddha, he or she comes to know no defiled states cognizable through the eye or through the ear are found in the Buddha. So that's what such a good person will be, understanding at the end after questioning. When he comes to know, or she comes to know this, he investigates him further. So we should not stop at that stage. We have to go further. Are there found in the Tathagata Buddha not any mixed states cognizable through the eye or through the ear? So it could be something good or something bad, right? Any mixed states. Now the problem is, what is good and what is bad? So there's a question coming up. Maybe this is something, because Buddha is a special person among the humans, but we question from our channels through our understanding. But anyway, this is something that whether you could see in Buddha any normal good and bad, those defilements. So that is something there. When he or she investigates him, he comes to know no mixed states cognizable through the eye or through the ear are found in Tathagata. Probably sometimes we are not good enough to do this, because Buddha is a very, extraordinary person. But this could be something that someone can question. That's the second technique. So I'm going to investigate the mixed states of the Tathagata Buddha. The third technique is, When he comes to know this, after understanding that he has no mixed states, he investigates him further, thus, are there found in the Buddha or Tathagata or not cleansed states cognizable through the eye or through the ear? So cleansed states, they are good actually. Cleansed states are purified states of, these defilements, right? So that means non-greed, right? Non-hatred, non-delusion, right? And then that person understands, he or she comes to know, cleansed states are cognizable through the eye or through the ear are found in the Buddha. So that's pretty clear. So that's the third technique. The fourth technique is when he or she comes to know this, she investigates him further after that. Has this, now Buddha's appellation has been converted to Venerable One at this point. Because when you question somebody, you have to make that person a little bit like normal, right? Otherwise, you might probably bias a little bit. So the text goes by the appellation Venerable One, not the Buddha. At this point, has this Venerable One attained this wholesome state over a long time, or did he attain it recently? So we had a question, right? So did he attain the Buddha just recently, or whether he was actually he attained this state of enlightenment after a course of perfections, right? After a long time. So you question about it, right? And then what happens? That person understands this Venerable One has attained this wholesome state, or that means a Buddhahood, Buddhatva, over a long time. It's a positive outcome of multiple perfections. Like there are 30 perfections Buddha, the Bodhisattva performed to be the Buddha, right? 30 perfections. What are they actually? Dana, Sila, Nekkamma, Panya, Viriya, Kanti, Satcha, Maditthana, Upekka. So according to the commentaries, an Arahant only performed these 10. Just the first one. So thereby you get 10 perfections. And the Pase Buduru, which you call private Buddhists, they perform 20 perfections out of these 10. So they say the Dana Parami and Dana Upaparami, right? And only the fully awakened Buddhas perform 30 perfections. So each has 3 components. I would give you an example. Now if you take the first perfection, what is that called? Dana Parami, generosity. So he executes this generosity perfections in 3 ways. Dana Parami, Dana Upaparami, Dana Paramatta Parami. The commentary goes like this. What is Dana Parami? Bahira Banda Parichago Dana Paramyunam. If somebody is to offer any material possessions that he or she owns, that is Dana Parami. Okay, without greed, hatred, illusion. If somebody is to offer anything from the body, let's say blood donation, organ donation, kidneys or whatever the parts of the body, either at the time of being alive or at the time of the disease time, that is called Dana Upaparami. Not everybody can do that, right? Because of probably for different reasons. And the Dana Paramatta Parami means Jivita Parichagu. That means sacrificing your whole life for a good cause. I don't think that can be done by a normal being. So that's the last component a fully enlightened, a fully awakened Bodhisattva or Buddha usually performs. So each paramita has 3 components like that. Now, the person who questions the Buddha at the 4th technique questions that time, whether he spent a good amount of time to be awakened, or whether he just became the Buddha, right? So you have to learn the life of the Buddha for some time, right? Otherwise you can't understand. So that's the 4th technique. Huh? Technique number 5. Okay, now he or she understand. Okay, he performed all these 30 perfections. That's how he became the Buddha. Now he further has to, Buddha asks us, you have to further question me. What's that would be? What's that would be? That would be, When she comes to know this, he or she investigates him further thus. Has this venerable one acquired renown and attained fame, so that the dangers connected with renown and fame are found in him? Now, when somebody is getting popular, there are some perils and dangers associated with that, right? There's a saying in Sanskrit, Yauvanang dana sampattik prabhutmo vivekita. Ekaika mappe narthaya kimuyatra chatushta. It's a kind of a wise saying in Sanskrit. See, there are 4 things that would lead you to destruction. The first one is, if you are extremely young, right? That would, if you are not making that youth in moderation, if you are not making that happen in the best possible way, you might be in trouble. And then if you have too much money, you know what to spend, where to spend, when to spend, one of the problems, one of the things that would lead you to destruction. And then Prabhu, if you are so much accepted wherever you go, let's say you are highly admired by other people, you'll be in trouble. You have no privacy, you have no private life, right? You'll be in trouble, right? You can't do anything, right? Whatever for VIP reason or whatever, the celebrity, paparazzi reasons, And the last one is avivekita, if you have no time for yourself, if you are too busy. All these 4 lead to destruction. The person who made the stanza questions, what if somebody has all these 4? You've been in so much trouble, huh? So the reason why I brought up this thing is, now when the Buddha happens to be a very famous, very acceptable person, someone can suspect this person might be so much infatuated with the fame, reputation, and etc., right? So now, at the 5th technique, what this normal person like us gonna question about the Buddha is, has this venerable one, the Buddha, acquired renown and attained fame, so that dangers are found in him, dangers associated because he is too popular, right? For bhikkhus, for monks, as long as a monk has not acquired renown and attained fame, the dangers connected with renown and fame are not found in him. But when he has acquired renown and attained fame, those dangers are found in him. When he investigates him, the Buddha, he comes to know, this venerable one has acquired renown and attained fame, but the dangers are not found in him, because he is not conceited about any of those reputation, any of those popularity. He just exists to be a normal person. Being a special person, he exists as a normal person, right, among the humans. So that is the technique number 5 that we're going to do. In other words, has fame and honor negatively affected him? So we're going to question that thing. So moving over to the 6th technique, that's to do something like this. When she comes to know, she investigates the Buddha further thus. Is this venerable one restrained without fear? Now we always try to be calm, right? Kind of be restrained with our senses, right? So whether the Buddha is restrained without fear or with fear. Some people, they want to be calm because they kind of scared of other people. They're scared of things that might be kind of like put to them. So we're going to question, is this venerable one restrained, calm himself without fear, not restrained by fear, or does he avoid indulging in sensual pleasures because he is without lust through the destruction of lust? Whether he has lust or not, whether he's feared of calmness. So we're going to question that. When he or she investigates him, thus she comes to know this venerable one, or the Buddha, is restrained without fear. He has no fear about being restrained, no fear of becoming calm about himself. Not restrained by fear. That means there might be people who are restrained because of things that could pose to them, right, in their lives. But he's not like that. And Buddha avoids indulging in sensual pleasure because he is without lust through the destruction. He has eradicate, abandon lust, raga, so then it won't pop up in his life, right? So that means he doesn't need to indulge in the sensual pleasures. That's the so questioning about his lust, his indulgence of anything, and questioning about his calmness. So that's the technique number 6. The last one. Now what happens? Now monks, if others should ask that person thus, what are the Venerable One's reasons and what is his evidence whereby, he says, that Venerable One, the Buddha, is restrained without fear, not restrained by fear. And Buddha avoids indulging in sensual pleasures because he is without lust or raga, through the destruction of lust. Answering rightly, that bhikkhu or monk would answer thus. Now, whether that Buddha dwells in the Sangha or alone. Now, this is the question. Whether he is with the monks or not, right? So that's the next question. So Buddha is always with the monks because he always advises the monks for their spiritual lives. But the question is whether the Buddha dwells in the Sangha or alone, in seclusion, right? While some there are well-behaved and some are ill-behaved and some they are teacher group, right? Now the question is like the audience that Buddha has to address, they could be different from each group to the other group. They could be well-behaved, they could be ill-behaved, they could be a mixture of these two, right? So that the need arises for him to stay with them at some points, right? While some here are seen concerned about material things and some are unsullied by material things, still that Buddha does not despise anyone because of that. He doesn't despise, he doesn't disparage, he doesn't blame anybody, whether they are ill-behaved or well-behaved, because he is going to teach them, he is going to help them in whatever his capacity. And I have heard, that person who is like investigating like this, and I have heard and learned this from the Blessed One's own lips. Actually now, in this context, this person is usually existing within a context of a living Buddha, but for us, we don't have a living Buddha. The technique number 7 is to question, inquire about the Buddha, whether he is alone or whether he is with the other monks. And we have to question, we have to know what are the reasons behind that living with the monks or in seclusion. But most of the time Buddha was with the other monks. So these are the 7 techniques that we need to inquire about the Buddha. Actually, I put the topic in this Dhamma talk discussion to making it more general, like 7 practices when choosing a spiritual teacher. I think you could probably relate this thing to other teachers too, because I think they are really techniques that would not have a branding about anybody, because we seek someone's help when we are in trouble with the 3 defilements, right? Raga, dosa, moha, greed, hatred, hatred, delusion. So then the person who is being sought that thing should be somebody who does not have all these defilements. So that's the point. So I think this can be generalized to anybody, hoping that I'm not hurting anybody, especially the other Abrahamic religions. But anyway, so this is a good way of looking at free inquiry in the Buddhist teachings. Especially Buddha asks us to start from himself, not just look at his just teachings. So first question me, but don't try to overthink. Don't just try to come to different notions about the Buddha, but just validate yourself with these 7 techniques. And then what happens at the end of this sutra, Buddha says, then you will get to the real saddha. Real saddha, what is the real confidence in the Buddha? That is to follow these 7 techniques and then to understand Buddha. Now what is read at the end of the sutra is imehi akarehi imehi padehi. imehi byanjanehi tathagate saddha nivitta hoti. Mula jata, that means rooted. Patittita ayang uchchati bhikkhave akaravati saddha. Right? There are two types of saddha in Buddhism, right? The first one is akaravati saddha. These are Pali terms, okay? Akaravati, confidence about the Buddha through the Akaravati channel, and Amulika Saddha, confidence you do, kind of a baseless confidence. You don't have any basis to place Buddha that way. So Buddha asks us to practice Akaravati Saddha, and I will read the last sentence of the sutra. Bhikkhus, monks, when anyone's confidence has been planted, rooted, and established in the Tathagata through these 7 techniques, reasons, terms, phrases, his/her faith is said to be supported by reasons. Rooted in vision, firm, it is invincible by any recluse, any Brahmin, or God, or Mara, or Brahma, or anybody in the world to waver that confidence, right? So, all in all, this sutra guides us to validate the Buddha. Sometimes we just follow the Buddha's teachings. It's good, no problem, but give some time for these 7 techniques, so then you would understand the real faith, the real confidence, and how you need to place that real confidence. And just before I'm going to wrap up this talk, I would like to talk about another sutra in very brief, because it's so connected to this sutra. Do you know what is this sutra? Kalama Sutta. I think you all know that sutra. I think a lot of people misuse this sutra. Why they misuse? They have a problem. Now, how Kalama Sutra goes? How people read the Kalama Sutra? Don't go by reports, by legends, by traditions, by scriptures, by logical conjecture, by inference, by analogies, by agreement through pondering views, by probability, or by the thought. This contemplative is our teacher. When you know for yourself that, okay, the Buddha says, now a lot of people, they just decide everything based on the actually statement that I made, but they don't read the other part of the statement of the Buddha. And Buddha says, these qualities, okay, when you know for yourself that these qualities are unskillful, these qualities are blameworthy, these qualities are criticized by the wise people. Who are the wise people? Those of them who always speak good things, those of them who always act with positive good karmas, those of them who always think good thoughts. So they are the wise people. So if the wise people are going to criticize your actions, then it's a problem. You're in trouble. And then what Buddha says, that is how we need to understand anything. Now, a lot of people, they just read, hey, I don't want to go by a report. Reports are really, really elusive, you know. I don't want to believe in a scripture which was actually written, far back in the history. I don't want to actually understand, learn from a teacher. Actually, all these are really, really good channels. But what Buddha asks at this point in this sutra is, don't just use one channel to decide the whole thing. That's what a lot of people they're missing. That's the problem of many people. They just bring up all these and say all the channel, all the things that are related to the channels are actually not actually reliable, verified in their understanding. Because why not? Reports are good at some point. Legends are good at some point. They actually they are on some of the cultures. Traditions are really good. We have a tradition, Sri Lankan tradition, and everybody has a tradition. They are good. But if you decide any problem just based on that thing, one channel, you might be in trouble. So Buddha says, consider all these channels to understand something. Okay, so then that is something that you need to understand about free inquiry. When you are doing a free inquiry, self-verification, don't misuse any of these channels. Use all the channels to understand the issue and then come to a conclusion. So now you understand why Buddha asks us to inquire him with 7 techniques, and also why Buddha says in Kalama Sutra, do not just based on one channel, use all the channels and then to understand what's the problem. What is the solution like with all these channels? That would be a good thing in your decisions and your whatever the choices you make in your life. So I think that is what we talk about today with the sutra called Vīmaṃsaka in the Majjhima Nikaya. Especially in the scholarly discussions and scholarly debates, this is the sutra that is being highly used, not the Kalama Sutra, because in the religious dialogues and discussions, not like, I think almost there was no person, like no spiritual teacher asked the followers to actually question the teacher first before actually moving on to the teachings of that person. So it's a wonderful addendum, wonderful apparatus kind of a thing for anybody who needs to read and then go to the teachings. So now if you have any questions, so please raise your question. Raise your hand. No, you don't raise your hands. Please forward your questions.
So that means we should find, or we should decide on the spiritual leader before you go to Dhamma?
No,
no. I thought they go hand in hand.
Usually, nobody knows these teachings actually. We usually get into a spiritual practice with our culture, right?
Yeah.
Basically,
yeah.
So we don't go this far, right?
Yeah.
But when you are on the path, then Buddha asks us to verify, validate your faith, your confidence with these proper, authentic steps. But that is not what happens to many of us, because we are culturally indoctrinated from our own traditions. So no problem, but now you have a opportunity. Hey, this is something that I had to read, and then questions my faith, whether my faith, my confidence is really endorsed by the Buddha or not, or is it really done something through the real words, authentic words of the Buddha. So that is what we need to do actually with this sutra. සිංහලෙන් මම කතා කරොත් අද අපි කතා කරේ බුදුහාරු අපිට ප්‍රකාශ කරලා තිබෙනවා උන්වහන්සේ ගැන විශ්වාසයනේ සද්ධාව කියන්නේ උන්වහන්සේ ගැන උන්වහන්සේගේ ධර්මයේ ගැන උන්වහන්සේගේ මහා සංඝරත්නය ගැන. එතකොට දැන් බුදුහාරු ප්‍රකාශ කරලා තියෙනවා මේ වීමංසක සූත්‍රයේ මජ්ක්‍ධිම නිකායේ දැන් අපි එක දැන් මේනෝන අහපු ප්‍රශ්නේ ඉතා වැදගත්. මොකද අපි එක විදියටයි මේ බුදුදහමට ප්‍රවිෂ්ඨ වෙන්නේ. දැන් මේනෝන එක විදියකට භාවනා කරන්න ඇවිල්ලා නේද? එයා එක විදියකට දැන් අපි ලංකාවෙන් සමහර කෙනෙක් මේ ලංකාව මෙහි ඉපදිලා වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද? එක විදිහට මේකට පත්වන්නේ. නමුත් බුදුහාරෝ කියනවා දැන් අපි කවුරු මේකට පත් වුණත් අපි පවතින්නේ ඊට පස්සේ සද්ධාවක් හින්දා. අපි වඳින්නේ, පුදන්නේ, දානෙ දෙන්නේ මේ ඔක්කොම කරන්නේ සද්ධාවක් නිසා. එතකොට ඒ සද්ධාව අපි හරි විදිහට පවත්වා ගන්න ඕන. අන්නේ හරි විදිහට පවත්වා ගන්න ඕන නම් මේ හත කරන්න අවශ්‍යමයි. ඒතර අපට පෞද්ගලිකව, ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට පර්සනලි දැනෙනවා මේක මේ බුදුහාරෝ කියන්නේ මේව පුද්ගලික කියලා. දැන් ඒකනේ සමහර වෙලාවට මේවා ගැන හොයන්නේ නැතුව එකපාරට මේ සංස්කෘතිය විතරක් ඉන්න කෙනා මේවා කරන කෙනාට පොඩි හරි විරසක භාවයක් ඇති වුණොත් පන්සල එපා වෙනවා, හාමුදුරුවෝ එපා වෙනවා, දීර එපා වෙනවා නේද? ඒ මොකද මෙහෙම මේ පිරිසුදු විදියට දැකලා එන අය නෙමෙයි. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා තමයි මේක අත් වශයෙන්ම කරන්න ඕන දෙයක්. මොකද බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ අපිට කියපු දෙයක්. I think now this is very clear, and what is the place of this sutra in your understanding about the Buddha. So to get up to the real confidence in your life about the Buddha, and then after that you be going to the teachings of the Buddha and the Venerable Monk, because you can't trust in the teachings or the monks without understanding the person who gave the teachings and the monks representing on behalf of, right? So you need to know the Buddha first, right? And then to go to the teachings and to the monks who are offering the services, the real Dharma. Any more questions?
Confused.
No, I'm not
Confused?
Little bit. I don't know. No, I don't have nothing happened to my faith or the understanding. But
Yeah.
In a way, I understand what you are saying.
Yeah.
But do you think now, as you said, we are, I'm coming from a Buddhist family, so it is already, I'm born as a Buddhist, and so you just follow the path.
Nobody is born as a Buddhist, actually.
Yeah, I know.
We just label ourselves, we are Buddhists, right? Nobody has a branding with the Buddhist, but we call ourselves.
I put it wrong.
Yeah, no any problem.
No,
Yeah.
but in her case,
Yeah.
now do you think she will understand what you said better than I would?
No, everyone understands everything on a different level, right? But that's why I was actually labeling this thing as a general topic, choosing a spiritual teacher. But we need to ask from her what were the thoughts of
No, I mean, first of all, there's an assumption being made.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I mean,
prejudgment, and because you don't know me, so how do you know I'm not?
yeah, I mean that's why let's
You're testing me through your eyes.
let's leave it up. Yeah, let's leave it up
You're
to.
looking at me, but you don't.
Yeah, let's leave it up to the people who understand this. I don't think like we're going to we need to test upon every
No, I
individual
didn't
being.
think that
Yeah,
way.
Yeah, no, but I mean that.
Yeah.
That's a good question
Yeah.
to ask.
I mean-
and at the same time,
yeah. Really speaking, you don't know what is going on with her.
I
So,
know if we use our eyes
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
something in front of us.
and that's why Buddha says use your two channels,
Yes, yeah.
eyes and ears. So then the understanding that you get into at some point of this search will be so unique, so different from one to one. So we don't want to think that everybody has to understand, everybody has to come up to a certain same level. That's something out of our control. That's why some people are really, really confident. Some people are to some extent. Some people are, they just started. They are becoming. So it's not it's our priority. So our priority is whether people know there are 7 techniques, and then just go ahead with those 7 techniques. So we don't want to actually test upon anybody's understanding or the level or the progress of their confidence with these 7 techniques.
Even Lord Buddha says that even his teachings you can question.
You can question, yeah.
He allows you to question everything.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
just believe whatever I say. Don't question.
Yes.
Find out whether
Yes.
it's true or not.
Free inquiry.
Yeah.
Inquire.
Why did you say that? You said the Buddha is not he didn't attain Buddhahood recently. One man.
Now, one way of doing this inquiry is to question whether the Buddha just became the Buddha, or he took a long course of time to be the Buddha. So it is about like it is about like placing some confidence about the eligibility time of his Buddhahood, right? So that's what we tell people, like, don't just decide the Buddha, he just became the Buddha, because he became the Buddha after practicing many 30 type of perfections, and over I think it's a million of lives, or more than that.
Time spent after reaching the Buddhahood.
No. This is not a one time. This is not a one-time thing, one life thing. This is a life of. This is an achievement of many, 100,000, probably more than that, because we don't know the number. They use a word called asankhya, which has no number actually, but people try to put a number. So this is an achievement of many 100,000 years of dedication and thing, right? So now at that technique, what the inquirer is going to do is that he questions just now. See, this question is really actually is a normal question. Some people ask, how come this person is so educated, so wise? He just learned something through internet or through with a book, or he was actually reading for some time. How come this guy is good at maths? I mean, the real reason is not applied to this life. Maybe he was a mathematician in the past lives. Who knows? Nobody knows about it. So now when you take this to the Buddha, you can actually question whether he took a long course of time or not. It's a pretty good technique to understand anybody actually, not even the Buddha.
In day-to-day life, like when you decide on a surgeon, for example, like you're going to a surgery, you're not gonna go to somebody who just became a doctor,
You're gonna do a real check on internet, right? Kind of a doctor search, reviews and all this stuff, right? Before even you go, I mean, probably a lot of people they look up a lot of things. Even they go for a restaurant just for a meal. They're gonna go look at a lot of like reviews on Yelp and Google reviews, I think this is a kind of a positive check that we must do about we should not be conceited, hey, we have a chance to question the Buddha, so we are, something like that. This is something for us to validate our understanding about the Buddha, being so humble about that thing, right? So we're not going to actually misuse this opportunity to kind of inquire into this, Buddhahood that he awakened. If you have no questions, so we're going to wrap this up, right? Okay, so let's share all the good karmas with the relatives and the deities. Idamme ñāti nang hutu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idamme nang hutu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idamme ñāti nang hutu sukita huntu ñātayo. Ettavatāca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti sindhya. Ettavatāca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti sindhya. Ettavatāca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti sindhya. Ākāsattha bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkang tuluka sasanang. Ākāsattha bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkang tudesanang. Ākāsattha bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkang tumang paranti. So finally, let's make a great wish. May all the good karmas that you've been accumulating so far by listening to Dharma, discussing the Dharma, help all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana as well. Please say sadhu. And I'm going to bless you with a couple more stanzas. Abhivādana sīlissa niccang vaddhāpacāyino chattaru dhamma vaddhanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurārogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevaca ato nibbāna sampatti iminati samicchatu.